The U.S. and Israel's war with Iran is raging, even expanding, less than a month before President Trump is set to meet with his Chinese counterpart, Xi Jinping. And now China is ramping up calls for a ceasefire as the country's top diplomat warns against, quote, the spread of the flames of war. Where is that spread leading? Joining us now to discuss, Shamil Idriss. He's the CEO of Search for Common Ground. He and his organization have worked to end conflicts in dozens of countries around the world. Shamil, thanks so much for joining.
Jim, thanks for having me.
So you might have heard my colleague Nick Robertson report just earlier this hour that there is some effort by Arab nations to present a UN resolution that would condemn Iran, but also perhaps create a pathway for an end to this conflict. I wonder, would you consider that a serious effort and one that might bring this to an end?
I'm sure it's a serious effort. The question about whether it could bring this to an end is really all about the will of the Americans, the Israelis, and the Iranians at this point. Mm-hmm. And one of the troubling things, we've been in touch with our teams around the region over the last week, and it's your previous segment was talking about China. We can talk about the threats to Europe from opening up some of the sanctions to Russia. This is metastasizing both in the region and around the world in a way that's very difficult to control. So I'm sure the diplomatic effort is a serious one. The question is really, where's the political will of the main belligerents?
Yeah. You have made the point that the U.S. in this case seems to be attempting an entirely military solution here and make reference to previous wars in Iraq, Afghanistan, where military efforts had great success early on, but weren't able to create stability after the initial phases of the war. And I wonder if, as you look at the U.S. administration here, as they carry out this war, that perhaps they learned the wrong lesson from those wars? Because it strikes me that their approaches use more military power, in a more devastating way, right? And I wonder what recent history has taught us.
I think it's important for viewers to step back and consider the fact that the United States has not won a war in 35 years since the first Gulf War, despite the fact that the U.S. has been in almost perpetual warfare since then. And by win a war, I mean achieving the objectives that the U.S. itself sets out. So this is not just about the Trump administration or one political party. This is over successive generations going back more than 3 decades. And one of the reasons is because modern conflict dynamics and technology, compared with just how interdependent and mutually vulnerable we all are to one another, makes it impossible to achieve full security through military might alone. I mean, we're just 5 years after, if you recall, that tanker turned sideways in the Suez Canal just for 6 days, and grocery prices went up around the world. That's how mutually vulnerable and interconnected and how stressed our supply chains are. And in that kind of world, it's really impossible to achieve, your own security and your economic, welfare of your population just through military might. And I would say one other thing, it's also the nature of the fighting. As our weapons get smarter, our brutality seems to get higher. UNICEF reported even before this last major offensive that they documented 20 Iranian schools and 10 hospitals that have been destroyed. One of the first Iranian attacks destroyed a synagogue in Israel where people were sheltering. I mean, the worst thing that you can do is destroy hospitals, places of worship, and schools. And we seem to be doing more and more of this in wars in recent years.
Yeah, as we reported earlier, it's a CNN analysis, and CNN is not alone in this, that strike on that girls' school was most likely a misdirected U.S. strike. The President Trump, he has been known to course correct, right? And while his goals for this war have moved from limited military action now right up to seemingly controlling the outcome of a new leadership in Iran, he might stop or scale back at some point and declare victory. If the U.S. were to do so, and by the way, it's already inflicted enormous damage on Iran's military capabilities, do you see a path towards negotiation moving forward? For instance, negotiation on the nuclear program, limitations on Iran's nuclear program?
I mean, I would say one of the things about President Trump that we saw in the first Trump administration, I mean, he is nothing if not a convention breaker. Some of those conventions are really, frankly, terrible to see broken, but others it's refreshing to see broken. One of which has been that more so than previous presidents, his administrations have been willing to negotiate directly with all the belligerents, whether they're non-state actors or state actors. Now, those negotiations, if they're done in good faith, can be very successful. I will say that, to your point, the notion that this war started because negotiations failed is patently false, at least if you judge the negotiations that were underway and being mediated by the Omanis by what had been stated as the objective of those negotiations. The day before the strikes were launched by Israel and the United States, the Omani foreign minister went public with just how far the concessions had already been achieved and gained from those negotiations from Iran. And even, I'll point this out, even if you look at the first Iran nuclear deal, the JCPOA, that was negotiated under the Obama administration, that agreement was being abided by fully by Iran before the Trump administration in its first iteration pulled out. And your viewers don't have to take my judgment for that. The IEEA reports, that was the body that was monitoring the compliance, bear this out to be true up until 2018 when the U.S. pulled out. So yes, negotiations absolutely can succeed. And one of the things that the Trump administration has demonstrated is that it's willing to negotiate with whoever it needs to.
I suppose the question is who survives the war, right? Because each new leader becomes a new target. Shamil, Idriss, thanks so much for joining.
Thank you for having me.